welcome back. In today's video, we're going over the Hashemite Caliphate path. Now in the last video, I went over the Federation. Now this is pretty similar in the early game, but then it splits off and goes into a little bit of a different path. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it over the course of this video. So the early game's pretty similar, where you're demanding Syria, Syria, Palestine, and Jordan. Then you also invade Saudi Arabia. Pretty much that's the exact same. But then you once you get up to about 1939, your ruler dies. You can put the regent. You can either pick a regent or to put another guy in power. And when you do put him in power, you can then do the Caliphate path. In that path, you annex your puppets, and then you can get cores on a whole bunch of states. It's pretty cool, actually. But there is one little issue that I did notice with this path that again, this is kind of a thing with all of the paths, really. On this side, you don't get Lebanon, which is kind of weird. Like, you get cores on them, but you don't get Lebanon at all. Neither do you get Egypt. You can get Kuwait, because there's a focus where you can get them as a puppet, but then you have to integrate them because they just come as a regular puppet. You have to then change them to an integrated puppet, and then finally to to annex. You do get cores on them, but like the other states in the Middle East that the UK has, you don't get. You do get a war goal on Yemen, which is nice, but again, Yemen doesn't have all of its states, and then Oman's also a puppet, so like you don't even get all of the Arabian Peninsula this path, which is kind of weird. Like, you also don't get Egypt, but you can get the rest of, like, North Africa besides Egypt. Like, it's not a bad path, especially because, like, you can get El Andalus. It's pretty cool. Like, with this, like, we ended up at war with Turkey again, which, I mean, you get a war goal on Turkey because they have part of Syria. So I declared on them because the British guarantee you based on one of the focuses, so then you don't have to go to war with them. You can just join the Allies, and the Turkey joins the Axis. So that was pretty good. Nothing too bad about that. So once we defeated Turkey, I went into like the Middle East. We took out North Africa, which was not the Middle East, the North Africa. We took out Italy's position there. And then eventually, after we grinded on Turkey forever, it actually, because of a lot of Axis troops, this was before they went to war with the Soviet Union. Then finally we did that. We took out Vichy France in North Africa, and then Portugal. Because Portugal joined the Axis. That's another problem we've had with the what's it called? The last DLC was that Germany's tree can be a little weird sometimes. Where like they'll go to war with people they didn't historically go to war with, or they'll get people in their faction that didn't historically happen. So I think there should maybe be some checks in the tree to not do that on historical, or at least wait until after 1945 to do that kind of stuff. Not sure, or make it more dynamic. Like Portugal joining out of nowhere kind of really doesn't make any sense without anyone declaring on them. Like, I had a war goal on them, so I was gonna declare on them anyway, so they would have joined the Axis in that case, which would have made sense, but without that, it doesn't really make much sense. Another problem I had was that like Spain would not for the life of them join the war. Like, Britain and France wouldn't join the war with Spain, and Spain wouldn't join the war with the Allies. Like, they were in the Axis. It just wouldn't join the war, which was a little weird, but not the biggest deal. But so at the end of the day, like, I obtained pretty much everything in North. I obtained a lot of cores because you get cores on all of Iberia because of the El Andalus thing. So it's actually not a bad path. You get a lot of cores, just not really a way to like. You could fight the Allies after, but like, I don't want to fight the U.S. for Egypt and a few Middle Eastern states that aren't really that good. You know what I mean? Another problem was also that, like, Iran, you couldn't join the war. Like, I wasn't able to join the war against them. Like, Britain wouldn't call me in. And I couldn't justify on Iran because they hadn't caused any world tension, which was quite weird. Like, I understand they didn't cause any, but, like, you would think if Britain's invading them, they would want to go through my borders because I'm bordering them. And I was more than willing to join. I just couldn't. So that was a little weird. But I don't know. This path, it's not bad. Again, it's the same problem I have with the other path. This one's a little bit better than the other one because you mitigate like having all the puppets you have to annex, and I think it's just a little bit stronger because you core all of North Africa as well as Iberia, so you can get a lot more cores pretty easily while in the Allies. I kind of don't like that, like, there's just spots you can't get. Like, I think you should be able to have focuses to be able to get them later on. Or at least make the Lebanon, like, at least make Lebanon switch to Vichy, make them a Vichy French puppet. That would make more sense than them being a free French puppet, based on the fact that, like, Vichy went with them. So, like, make Syria and Lebanon go to become Vichy France puppets, so then I could at least declare war on them and not have to worry about going to war with France. Like, that would be nice. But overall, not a bad tree. I think it just could use a little bit of work. Same with the other one. Like, it is quite fun and quite powerful. You get quite a bit of cores, and you can easily get them without going to war with the Allies, which is quite nice. They did kick me from the faction at the end of the day, but and they have a war goal on me, which kind of sucked. But they didn't go to war with me, so that it wasn't that big a deal. And at that point, I was pretty strong because I had gotten North African manpower, so I would have been all right. But that pretty much wraps up for the Hashemite Caliphate. Overall, pretty good path. Can't complain too much about it, but can always use a few little tweaks to make it just a little bit better. But I think that'll wrap it up for here. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.